Ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak to you today about a truth that is both simple and profound, a truth that can alter the very course of your life if you truly grasp it and live it. The truth is this: the world outside you is nothing more than a mirror of the world within you. Every circumstance, every relationship, every event you encounter is but a reflection of your inner state. And yet, most people live as though the external world dictates their life. They believe that the world is something fixed, something unyielding, something that must be endured or overcome. But I tell you now, the world is not fixed. It follows the direction of your inner decision, your inner conviction, your inner vision. The world cannot help but obey what you determine in the sanctuary of your own mind. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Consider for a moment what it means to decide from within. It means to act from the place of certainty, not from the place of doubt. It means to understand that your imagination is not a fantasy, not a daydream, not a trivial escape, but the very tool through which reality is shaped. When you imagine, you are not merely thinking, you are creating. Your inner world is the unseen mold, and the outer world is but the form that rises to meet it. Whatever you accept as true in your inner consciousness must, in time, manifest as truth in your outer life. The moment you accept this, the moment you realize that your inner decision is the law to which the universe must bend, you step into a power that is infinite, eternal, and absolute. Many people wait for conditions to change. They say, "I will be happy when my circumstances change. I will be at peace when the world treats me kindly. I will succeed when opportunity comes." But this is an inversion of reality. The conditions do not create the consciousness. Consciousness creates the conditions. You do not need the world to affirm your desires. You need only affirm them yourself. You need only inhabit the state you desire until the world conforms. It is not the world that must convince you. It is you who must decide, and in your decision, the world inevitably aligns. To decide from within is to live in the end, to embody the reality you wish to experience as though it is already true. Suppose you desire success, recognition, or love. Do not look outside for proof. Do not wait for circumstances to grant it. Close your eyes, feel it, believe it, and live as though it is already yours. Imagine it not as a wish, but as a fact. Imagine it not as something distant, but as something already fulfilled. The mind does not distinguish between imagined experience and so-called real experience. What is impressed upon your imagination will inevitably be impressed upon your life. The world must follow because your imagination is law within you. There is a principle operating here that few understand, and yet it is the principle that governs everything. It is the principle that says, what you assume as true, you are. It is not what you know, it is not what you hope for, it is not what you fear, it is what you assume as your current reality. Your outer world is simply the reflection of this assumption. If you assume lack, limitation, fear, or failure, the world will show you lack, limitation, fear, and failure. If you assume abundance, freedom, courage, and triumph, the world cannot help but produce abundance, freedom, courage, and triumph. The law is impartial. It does not argue, it does not negotiate. It simply responds. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Many people resist this truth because they cling to the evidence of their senses. They say, "I see suffering, therefore life is suffering. I see struggle, therefore success is rare. I see injustice, therefore fairness is impossible." But what you see is only what you hold within. The world cannot impose itself upon you without your consent. Your consciousness, your inner acceptance, is the seed from which all outer reality grows. You are not a passive witness to life. You are the active author. And if you will write your story from the vantage point of power, conviction, and faith, no force outside of you can prevent the fulfillment of your desires. Faith, you see, is not a wish. It is the decision of the mind. Faith is the unwavering acceptance of your own assumption as reality. Faith is the willingness to be what you desire before it appears. Many people confuse faith with hope or desire. Hope waits and doubts. Desire yearns and fears. Faith decides and knows. When you decide from within, you act in faith. You assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and the world must comply. There is no exception. There is no alternative. The universe itself is compelled to move according to the inner conviction of consciousness. Some may ask, what if my imagination is wrong? What if I assume something that does not come to pass? The answer is simple. Imagination is never wrong. But your application of it can be. Imagination must be accompanied by feeling, by total assumption, by the inner knowing that what you desire is already real. It is not enough to picture, to think, or to wish. You must feel the reality as present, as tangible, as alive within you. When you do this, the outer world has no choice but to respond. It is as though the universe is a servant to the mind. You may think of it as magic, but it is not magic. It is law. It is the natural consequence of the creative power within you. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Many people live in contradiction. They desire one thing and act as though another is true. They long for love, and yet live with resentment. They long for success, and yet harbor doubt. They long for freedom, and yet cling to fear. The world, of course, mirrors these contradictions. Life is simply a reflection of inner harmony or disharmony. To decide from within is to eliminate contradiction. To decide from within is to settle the matter in your consciousness, to know without question, to feel without hesitation, to act without delay. When you make a decision that is absolute and unwavering, the world cannot resist. It bends, shifts, and aligns itself with your inner truth. Consider, for a moment, the power of imagination in shaping reality. When you close your eyes and imagine, you enter a state beyond the limitations of space and time. You enter the field of creation, the invisible realm where all things originate. Every invention, every achievement, every discovery began in this realm. Nothing that exists in the physical world was first absent in the mind. The world must follow the inner vision, because the inner vision is the blueprint. The external world is merely the materialization of the thought impressed upon consciousness. Decide from within, and the world will take shape according to your blueprint. Decision is more than desire, more than intention, more than hope. Decision is a total surrender of your inner state to the reality you wish to create. It is the firm declaration within your mind that this is your life, this is your experience, and nothing else will deter it. You are not bargaining, you are not negotiating, you are not pleading, you are stating a fact. The universe hears facts. It does not hear wishes, it does not entertain complaints, it does not argue with doubt. It moves in accordance with the inner law. And that law is simple. What is assumed as true becomes true. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Many of you may have struggled with circumstances that seem unchangeable. Perhaps you have looked at your finances, your relationships, or your health and felt defeated. Perhaps you have believed that certain outcomes are impossible. But let me assure you, nothing is impossible to the mind that decides. The external world is malleable. It is not fixed. Every limitation is a reflection of an inner belief. Every obstacle is a mirror of a fear unchallenged. When you shift the state within, the outer world shifts inevitably. The power is yours. It has always been yours. It requires only that you decide with unwavering certainty from within. You may ask, how do I begin? How do I take this step of inner decision? The answer is simple yet profound. Begin with feeling. Feel the reality you desire. Close your eyes and live it. Speak it, think it, believe it. Do not analyze, do not argue, do not ask how. Let the feeling itself carry you into the state of the fulfilled desire. Hold the feeling persistently. Do not waver, do not vacillate. Persist until it becomes a living, breathing certainty within you. The world, which cannot exist apart from your consciousness, will then manifest it. Decide from within, and the world must follow. It is not enough to simply wish for a better life. Many people wish, and yet their lives remain unchanged. Why? Because wishing is passive. Wishing is external. Wishing looks to conditions outside for validation. Decision, on the other hand, is active. Decision is inner. Decision is a declaration. It does not wait, it does not plead, it does not ask. It states, this is my reality, this is my truth, I am it now. And the universe, which cannot contradict your inner state, aligns accordingly. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Even the most challenging circumstances cannot resist the force of an inner decision. You may face opposition, obstacles, criticism, or doubt from the world around you. You may encounter appearances that seem to contradict your vision, but appearances are not truth. Appearances are the canvas upon which the world paints the reflection of your inner state. If you remain steadfast within, appearances will eventually yield, mountains will move, rivers will change course, doors will open, the world must follow, for your inner state is law. Let me speak to you about the consistency of consciousness. The mind that is unsettled cannot create permanence in the outer world. If you assume today and contradict tomorrow, if you believe now and doubt later, the outer world cannot stabilize. It mirrors your inner vacillation. Therefore, the power lies in consistency. Hold the state you desire, and do not release it until it becomes as tangible to you as your own hand. Persist in your inner assumption, and the outer world will eventually obey. The world must follow, but only when you have decided. Understand, too, that decision is not a one-time event. It is a state, a continuous inner posture. To decide from within is to inhabit a reality without fear, without hesitation, without doubt. It is to know that what you imagine, what you assume, what you live as true in your mind is already yours. It is to act from that place of knowing in every thought, in every word, in every deed. Your inner life is the fertile ground, and the outer world is the harvest. Sow wisely. Decide from within, and the world must follow. I urge you to look inward, to examine the inner assumptions that govern your life. The world outside is not the master, it is the reflection. You are the creator, the originator, the law within which all else must conform. Decide what you will assume, decide what you will feel, decide what you will live as true, and do not waver. Close your eyes, feel the reality, embrace it fully, live in it completely. The world cannot resist the force of a consciousness fully aligned with its desire. Decide from within, and the world must follow. There is no limitation, no external force, no obstacle, no circumstance that can stand against the inner law. It is absolute, eternal, and infinite. It has always been so. All great achievements, all love, all wealth, all success, all joy, all peace, all freedom have originated in the inner decision of one mind. The same power is available to you. Decide from within. Assume the feeling of your fulfilled desire. Live in the reality you wish to experience. Persist with unwavering faith, and the world will inevitably bow in response. The world must follow, because it cannot help but follow the reality within you. Your inner life is your sovereignty. The moment you recognize this, the moment you accept it, the moment you act in it, your life changes. No longer will you be subject to circumstance, opinion, or chance. You are the lawgiver. You are the creator. You are the source. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Remember this always. You do not need to fight the world, change the world, or wait for the world. All hat is required is that you change the inner world, settle it in perfect faith, and persist in its reality. When you do this, everything outside aligns because it is compelled to. Decide from within, and the world must follow. The power is yours, always has been, always will be. Step into it, claim it, live it, and you will see that the world bows before your inner certainty. Now, let us consider the nature of belief itself. Belief is not something distant or abstract. It is the living, breathing current that flows from your consciousness into the world. Every thought, every feeling, every conviction you hold is a form of belief. Yet most people treat belief lightly. They say, I believe, but I doubt, or I believe, but I wait for proof. Such fragmented belief cannot move the universe, for the universe responds only to the unified, unwavering conviction of the mind. To decide from within is to bring all your faculties, thought, feeling, imagination, and will, into harmony with a single assumption. When the inner world is unified, the outer world cannot resist. Imagine for a moment the infinite potential that lies dormant within you. Imagine the life you have always desired, the relationships you longed for, the success you dreamed of, the peace you sought. All of it is already present within the unseen. It is already in your consciousness, waiting only for recognition, waiting only for decision. The moment you claim it as real, the moment you feel it as present, the moment you persist in that feeling, the world outside becomes the inevitable expression of what you hold within. There is no gap, no waiting, no negotiation. The unseen must manifest in accordance with the inner reality you accept as true. You may wonder about the role of action. Must you act to create your desires? The answer is yes, but not in the way most people imagine. Action is not the laborious effort to force circumstances into compliance. Action is the inspired movement that flows naturally from an inner certainty. When your inner world is resolved, when your inner assumption is fixed, action is no longer a struggle. It becomes effortless. You act not to coerce the world, but to express the reality you already inhabit. The world follows the inner state, and action becomes the instrument through which that inner reality is manifested more visibly. Decide from within, and every movement you make becomes aligned with the inevitable fulfillment of your desire. Consider also the power of imagination in shaping not only circumstances, but the very character of your life. Your imagination is a creative faculty, more potent than any external tool. It is the womb from which all forms emerge. When you imagine, you impress upon the universe a pattern, a law, a certainty. It does not matter what others perceive. It does not matter what current events suggest. Your inner vision alone determines the ultimate shape of your life. Those who master this faculty do not live by chance, by luck, or by circumstance. They live by the law of inner decision. They know that to decide from within is to govern the course of life itself, and the world, incapable of resisting this law, follows. Many people underestimate the subtlety of this principle. They think that change occurs externally and then internally, but the reverse is true. All change begins within. Health, wealth, love, peace, joy, these are all reflections of your internal state. If you are in discord, you will see discord reflected everywhere. If you are in abundance, you will see abundance everywhere. The mirror cannot lie. It does not judge. It does not act according to your hopes or fears. It acts according to the reality you assume, the reality you decide upon. The world cannot resist the inner law. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Some may ask, what about others? What about those who oppose me, those who doubt me, those who resist me? Understand this: the opinions, actions, and beliefs of others are not the determining factor in your reality. They are only evidence of what is in their own consciousness. You do not need to convince them, argue with them, or change them. Your responsibility is to maintain your own inner reality, to decide from within, to persist in the state you wish to experience. When your inner conviction is absolute, external resistance becomes irrelevant. The world itself cannot deny the reality you inhabit, and in time it must conform to the inner law you exercise. You may also encounter fear, hesitation, or BT. These are the natural tests of consciousness. They are the indicators that your mind is still divided, that your decision is not yet fully realized. Do not fear them. Do not battle them with effort or force. Recognize them as signals. Gently reaffirm your inner decision and persist. The universe does not require struggle. It requires certainty. It requires unshakable inner acceptance. Fear and doubt vanish not through argument, but through the persistence of inner decision. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Regardless of apparent obstacles, it is essential to understand the role of feeling in this process. Feeling is the language of consciousness. Thought impresses, but feeling gives life. To think without feeling is to plant a seed without water. It will not grow. To feel without thought is directionless. It has no shape. To decide from within is to bring thought and feeling into perfect harmony. Imagine the desired state vividly. Think it clearly and feel it is already real. When thought and feeling unite in your consciousness, the outer world becomes the inevitable manifestation of this inner unity. The law is absolute. Decide from within, and the world must follow. There is also the principle of persistence. The world will often present conditions that seem to contradict your inner decision. You may experience delay, frustration, or apparent setbacks, but these are only temporary reflections of past assumptions, only echoes of disbelief that still linger. Persist in your inner decision, hold the state with unwavering faith, and the world outside, which cannot resist your inner law, will eventually align. Time is not the master, consciousness is. Persist in feeling the reality fulfilled, and the world must eventually obey. Decide from within, and do not release the inner state until the outer world confirms it. Let us reflect for a moment on the practical application of this principle. Every day, in every moment, you have the opportunity to decide from within. You can decide how you feel, what you accept, what you assume is true. You can decide not to be swayed by circumstance, opinion, or fear. You can decide to embody the state you wish to see reflected in your life. Do not underestimate the power of these small, consistent inner choices. Each moment of inner decision is a seed planted in the unseen, and over time, these seeds grow into a harvest of outer reality. Decide from within, and the world must follow, one moment at a time. Consider the life of those who have mastered this law, who have lived from the inner conviction that their desire is already fulfilled. They do not wait. They do not plead. They do not look to external validation. They act, speak, and live from the certainty of inner truth, and the world bends, shifts, and aligns accordingly. Great works, profound achievements, and miraculous experiences all begin in this manner. There is no difference in principle for you. You too possess the same creative faculty. You too can decide from within and see the world follow your inner vision. Even when faced with apparent impossibilities, the law remains unbroken. No circumstance, no event, no limitation can resist the force of a mind fully decided. You may encounter what seems insurmountable, but these obstacles are illusions of the external. Your inner reality is absolute. Decide from within, and what appears impossible becomes inevitable. The world outside cannot help but reflect the inner state that has been fully embraced. The impossible bows before the power of inner decision. It is also important to remember that every thought you entertain, every emotion you nurture, is a declaration to the universe. Every doubt, every fear, every complaint, every resistance is an inner decree that the world must follow. To live consciously is to choose your inner declarations with care. To decide from within is to take full responsibility for every moment of consciousness, knowing that each inner state will manifest in the outer world. The universe is impartial, neutral, and exact. It mirrors, it reflects, it obeys. Decide from within, and the world must follow without exception. Persistence, unity of thought and feeling, and unwavering assumption are the pillars of this law. Without them, your inner decision falters, and the world remains a mirror of unresolved contradictions. With them, there is nothing that can withstand your inner decree. You are the originator, you are the lawgiver, you are the source. Every circumstance will bend, every obstacle will dissolve, every desire will manifest. The world must follow, for it cannot resist the inner law of decisive consciousness. Every time you close your eyes and feel, every time you act from certainty, every time you hold your inner state without wavering, you are exercising a creative force more powerful than any external circumstance. The law of consciousness is absolute. It does not require explanation, it does not negotiate, it does not delay. It responds instantly to the inner decision and over time manifests the evidence outside. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Now, let us delve deeper into the quiet power of the mind. Many live their lives seeking external validation, as if approval from the world is necessary to justify their existence. They look to titles, wealth, relationships, or accolades, believing that these external markers will define them. But the truth is far more profound. Your inner state is the source of all validation. When you decide from within, the world automatically conforms, not because it has agreed with you, but because it cannot exist apart from the consciousness that imagines it. Every proof, every confirmation, every evidence you seek outside is already fully contained within you. To recognize this is to step into a sovereignty no force can overturn. Consider the subtlety of imagination. It is not enough to simply picture the desire. Many think that seeing it in their mind's eye is enough, but imagination must be felt, inhabited, and lived as real in the present moment. Feel the texture of the life you desire. Hear the sounds, sense the sensations, live in the emotional truth of its fulfillment. The world outside is compelled by this vibrancy, for the universe mirrors that which is most alive within you. Decide from within, not occasionally, not half-heartedly, but fully, and the external world must yield to the inner reality. There is another factor often overlooked, the quiet moments between thoughts. It is in these spaces that the mind's power becomes most potent. When the inner mind is still, when doubt, fear, and worry are silenced, the power to decide becomes pure. In this silence, you can plant the seed of your desired state with absolute certainty. Thoughts may arise, external events may attempt to distract, but the inner decision, when anchored in quiet certainty, is invincible. The world follows not the noise of circumstance, but the stillness of inner conviction. The world's seeming chaos is no obstacle to the decided mind. Appearances may scream of limitation, of scarcity, of impossibility, yet appearances are only temporary expressions of collective consciousness. They have no power over your inner world unless you grant them that power. You can live above appearances within a reality of your own creation. Decide from within, and the world must follow, for the world outside is a mere echo of the state within. No external condition can resist the will that is aligned, unified, and fully certain. Let us also reflect on the nature of persistence. Human beings are often tempted to give up, to relinquish their inner vision at the first sign of delay or difficulty. But delay is not denial. Difficulty is not impossibility. The universe measures not by calendar time, but by the consistency and intensity of inner conviction. The more persistent you are in your inner assumption, the sooner the world aligns. Decide from within, and hold fast even when the senses say otherwise. The outer world cannot withstand the force of unwavering inner certainty. Your imagination is the compass, your feeling is the fuel, and your decision is the command. These three, working together, form the mechanism by which the unseen becomes visible, the invisible becomes tangible, and the desired becomes experienced. Many people separate these elements. They think they can wish without feeling, or feel without imagining, or decide without focus. But in reality, these elements must be fused. The mind cannot create in fragments. When thought, feeling, and decision are united in harmony, the world bends inevitably to that unified inner state. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Notice how often people seek external methods, rituals, or processes to bring about what is already within. They read books, attend seminars, repeat mantras, or follow techniques, believing that the solution exists somewhere outside themselves. But all external forms are only mirrors, reminders, or catalysts for the inner work. The real work is in the unshakable inner decision, the deep assumption, the living feeling of the wish fulfilled. Without this inner reality, no external method can succeed. With it, all methods become effortless and secondary, mere extensions of the inner law. Decide from within, and the world must follow naturally, inevitably, without struggle. Even the smallest act of inner decision carries power beyond measure. When you choose to feel gratitude, even in the midst of seeming lack, you are planting a seed that the world cannot resist. When you choose love instead of fear, you are initiating a current that reality must honor. When you choose peace instead of anxiety, you are invoking a law that cannot be denied. These are not symbolic gestures, they are creative acts. Each inner decision is a blueprint for manifestation, each inner state a command to which the universe responds. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Think also of the limitless potential contained in your imagination. You are not limited by what you have seen, by what others have experienced, or by what current conditions suggest. Your imagination is infinite, boundless, and free. Every possibility already exists in the unseen. When you inhabit it fully, the outer world has no choice but to conform. Limitations exist only in those who doubt, who question, who hesitate. To decide from within is to step beyond limitation, to embrace the infinite, and to command reality with the authority of inner certainty. The world must follow, for it cannot contradict the chosen state of consciousness. There is a subtle distinction between hoping and deciding. Hope looks to the future with uncertainty. Hope waits and doubts. Decision is immediate and absolute. Decision assumes the reality now, lives it, breathes it, and radiates it. Hope is passive, decision is active. Hope is fragile, decision is unbreakable. When you decide from within, the world aligns because it cannot resist a state that is fully inhabited. You do not need to persuade, negotiate, or explain. Your inner state alone compels the world to respond. The mind that is divided cannot create coherence in the outer world. When your inner state wavers between desire and doubt, between fear and faith, the outer world reflects this sea. On fusion. Therefore the key is unity, total unwavering unity of thought, feeling, and belief. Decide from within, and maintain that state. Do not vacillate. Do not second guess. Do not consult the fleeting opinions of others or the temporary evidence of the senses. The universe obeys only that which is firmly anchored in consciousness. Persist in your decision, and the world must follow. Consider the immense freedom this principle grants. Once you understand that the outer world is a reflection, you are no longer bound by circumstance. You are no longer a victim of time, place, or situation. You are free to imagine, free to feel, free to decide. You are free to inhabit the state of your choosing, to live as the reality you wish to see, to act from certainty rather than doubt. Freedom is not granted by circumstances. It is assumed from within. Decide from within, and the world aligns to support the freedom you have claimed. Even in the midst of chaos, the inner decision is unshakable. External events may rise like storms, opinions may clash, and appearances may contradict your inner vision. Yet the mind that has decided is like a mountain, unmoved by the winds of circumstance. The outer world cannot resist the power of a consciousness fully anchored in its own reality. Appearances will fade, obstacles will dissolve, and conditions will shift. The world must follow, because it cannot resist a mind that has fully assumed its desired state. Notice how the principle of assumption governs everything. You do not create by striving against conditions. You create by assuming the state you wish to experience. To assume is to accept as real, to inhabit, to live as true now. It is the law of inner authority. When you assume, the outer world bends naturally. Resistance is only temporary and always disappears in the face of sustained assumption. Decide from within, and the world must follow, for your assumption is law, and law cannot be denied. Every day presents countless opportunities to exercise this power. Every moment you can choose your inner state, your feeling, your assumption. You can decide love over fear, abundance over lack, courage over doubt, peace over anxiety. Each moment of inner decision is a seed in the unseen, and these seeds grow into a harvest of outer reality. The world follows not the fleeting whims of circumstance, but the persistent, unwavering decision of consciousness. Decide from within, and the world must follow, one inner act at a time. The subtlety of this law is often overlooked because people focus on visible results. They want immediate evidence, immediate confirmation, immediate proof. But the law works quietly, invisibly, in perfect accordance with inner certainty. Your imagination is the invisible cause, your inner state is the law, and the outer world is the effect. To seek visible proof before deciding is to invert the process. Decide from within first, and the world, compelled by law, will eventually reflect your inner reality. Let us examine the role of emotions in shaping reality. Emotions are not mere reactions, they are the language of consciousness, the signal by which the inner mind communicates to the outer world. Joy, gratitude, love, peace, these are not simply feelings, they are declarations, proclamations that the universe must honor. When you dwell in fear, doubt, or resentment, you are issuing commands to the universe that it cannot ignore. The world outside is simply the echo of these inner proclamations. Therefore, if you wish the world to align with your highest desires, you must master the language of feeling. Decide from within, and let your emotions speak the certainty of your inner state, for the world cannot resist the authority of feeling combined with unwavering imagination. Every thought you entertain is a brushstroke on the canvas of reality. Every belief, every assumption, every repeated mental picture contributes to the masterpiece that unfolds in your life. Many labor externally, striving to manipulate circumstances, believing that effort in the outer world will yield change. Yet the truth is always within. The unseen must be impressed first. Then, and only then, can the scene be formed. You are the artist. Your mind is the palette, your imagination the brush, your inner decision the guiding hand. Persist in this inner work, and the outer world must conform to the masterpiece you have chosen to create. Imagine the world as a vast stage, yet you are the director of the play. Actors appear, scenes unfold, and dialogue is spoken, yet nothing has the power to alter the script you have written within your consciousness. The director's mind governs every element, every nuance, every movement. If you have fully decided, if you have fully assumed, then the external world performs faithfully. It is not rebellion, it is reflection. The universe is a mirror, and its fidelity is perfect. Decide from within, and every circumstance becomes an instrument that brings your inner vision into manifestation. There is profound freedom in understanding that you are the source. You are not at the mercy of chance or fortune, of other people's opinions. You are the creative law. External conditions are secondary, mere evidence of what has been accepted within. Therefore, no matter how turbulent your surroundings, no matter how contradictory appearances may seem, your inner decision holds absolute authority. Persist in this inner authority. Maintain the reality you have assumed, and the outer world is powerless to resist. It will align in time, for alignment is not optional. It is the inevitable consequence of decisive inner consciousness. The concept of timing is often misunderstood. People believe that external events must precede inner reality. They say, I must wait for opportunity, for circumstances to change, for someone to act. But this is a reversal of the natural law. Inner reality precedes outer manifestation. Opportunity is not the cause, it is the effect. Circumstances follow the inner state, not the other way around. When you decide from within, when you assume the feeling of the fulfilled desire, when you inhabit the reality you wish to experience, time itself becomes irrelevant. The world cannot resist, and events, people, and circumstances converge to support the inner vision. Even setbacks, difficulties, and apparent failures are but reflections of unfinished inner work. They are not punishments, nor are they signs of impossibility. They are signals guiding you to refine your inner state, to purify your assumption, to strengthen your inner conviction. Each obstacle invites deeper focus, greater clarity, and firmer decision. Persist in the inner reality, and the world shifts. Every difficulty becomes a stepping stone, every challenge a mirror of the inner mind. The universe is impartial. It honors only the reality firmly established within. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Think of the mind as a fertile garden. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is a seed planted. If you plant seeds of fear, doubt, and limitation, the harvest will reflect scarcity and struggle. If you plant seeds of confidence, love, abundance, and certainty, the harvest will reflect those realities. The gardener must tend carefully, selecting only seeds that align with the desired outcome. Decide from within, cultivate the inner state, nourish it with feeling, and the world outside is compelled to grow in accordance with this inner law. The mind often protests with logic, analysis, and reason, insisting circumstances are fixed, that life is controlled by external events, yet reason alone cannot create. Logic does not generate reality, imagination does. Thought alone is insufficient, it must be combined with feeling, assumption, and decision. When reason is aligned with inner vision, it serves as a powerful instrument, clarifying and supporting the inner state. But the world bends not to reason, it bends to the reality fully accepted and inhabited within consciousness. Decide from within, and the world must follow, beyond the reach of doubt or argument. Consider how persistent assumption transforms even the most stubborn conditions. Imagine a life long desired but seemingly impossible. Perhaps others see limitations, perhaps circumstances appear unyielding. Yet these are only reflections of collective or past assumptions. The moment you inhabit the fulfilled state within, the outer world has no alternative but to adjust. Mountains of impossibility dissolve before the consistent, vivid assumption. Rivers of resistance bend naturally to the current of inner certainty. Decide from within, and the world must follow, for resistance is powerless against the law of consciousness fully exercised. Notice also how small, consistent inner acts magnify over time. A single moment of inner decisiveness may seem inconsequential, yet it sets into motion a chain reaction in the unseen. Thoughts, feelings, and assumptions compound like energy, building momentum until manifestation in the outer world becomes inevitable. Do not underestimate the power of persistence in small moments. Each inner act is a declaration, each feeling a command. Decide from within, consistently, persistently, and the outer world will mirror this inner authority in ways far beyond imagination. Even the most dramatic changes in life begin with a single inner decision. Great transformations are not born from struggle, nor from external effort alone. They begin quietly, invisibly, in the mind of one who has assumed the reality they desire. The outer world is compelled to follow the inner decree. You do not need to force conditions, to argue with fate, or to seek approval. Inner certainty alone is sufficient. Decide from within, and the world, in all its forms, must align. The discipline of consciousness is the ultimate mastery. When the mind is disciplined, when thoughts, emotions, and assumptions are carefully directed, life unfolds effortlessly. Chaos and opposition cannot disturb a consciousness that has fully assumed its reality. Decision is not a passive act. It is active, deliberate, and sustained. It requires awareness, attention, and persistence. Yet once it is established, the world itself becomes a servant, reflecting the authority of inner law. Decide from within, and the world must follow inevitably, in perfect harmony with your inner state. It is also crucial to recognize that imagination is the origin of all reality. Every invention, every discovery, every work of art, every act of love or courage first existed in the imagination. The external world is simply the materialization of what was first conceived within. To deny the power of imagination is to deny the creative principle itself. Therefore, when you imagine, do so with conviction. When you decide, do so fully. When you inhabit the feeling of the fulfilled desire, do so without hesitation. The world cannot resist the reality you embrace within. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Every condition that appears contrary to your desire is but a reflection of past assumptions or collective beliefs. It has no ultimate power. Your present assumption is law. It is the authority to which all things must conform. Do not be swayed by appearances. Do not rely on evidence. Do not wait for proof. The proof exists in the certainty you hold now. Persist in your inner assumption. Maintain the feeling of fulfillment, and the outer world is compelled to mirror this inner reality. Decide from within, and the world must follow without delay, without exception. Now, let us reflect on the subtle yet undeniable authority of consciousness. Every sensation, every experience, every encounter you have is guided, not by chance, but by the state you occupy within. The mind that has fully assumed its desire as reality is a magnet that draws all circumstances, all people, all opportunities into alignment. Nothing can resist this force. Resistance exists only for the mind that doubts, for the consciousness that hesitates, for the soul that wavers. To decide from within is to move beyond hesitation, to anchor yourself in certainty, and to command the outer world by the unassailable law of inner reality. It is vital to understand that inner decision is not merely a mental exercise. It is a living, breathing experience, fully embodied. You cannot merely think your desire. You must feel it, inhabit it, and live it as real in the present moment. The emotions you experience are the language of the unseen. When joy, confidence, peace, and love flow through your being as if already realized, you are issuing commands that reality must obey. Your inner state is law, and the outer world is compelled to comply. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Consider the power of imagination as a creative instrument. Many underestimate its potency, relegating it to mere fantasy. Yet imagination is the very blueprint of all existence. Every creation, every achievement, every transformation first begins in the unseen. Nothing exists in the outer world that has not been first conceived, imagined, and fully accepted in consciousness. The moment you assume your desire as real in imagination, the universe responds. It is not optional, it is inevitable. Decide from within, and the world must follow, for imagination and consciousness together are the architects of reality. Even when confronted with conditions that appear impossible, the law remains unbroken. You may see obstacles, setbacks, and contradictions, yet these are mere reflections of prior assumptions, not immutable truths. Your present decision holds ultimate authority. By persistently occupying the state of the fulfilled desire, by consistently feeling and assuming it as true, you neutralize all resistance. The outer world must yield. Mountains of impossibility crumble, rivers of resistance bend, and circumstances realign. The law of inner decision is absolute, and the world which cannot contradict it follows inevitably. Let us also consider the role of persistence. Many falter at the first sign of delay, at the first shadow of doubt. Yet time is irrelevant to the law of consciousness. The outer world may appear slow to respond, yet it moves only in accordance with the inner state. Persistence is not effort in the external world, it is steadfastness within, unwavering assumption, continued inhabitation of the desired reality. Every moment you maintain the inner decision, the unseen grows stronger until manifestation is unavoidable. Decide from within, and the world must follow, not in haste, but in perfect alignment with your inner certainty. The inner mind is sovereign. It governs all conditions, all outcomes, and all experiences. It is the seat of power that shapes the visible world. When fully occupied with the reality you desire, the inner mind creates a force field that cannot be resisted. Appearances may fluctuate, people may oppose, circumstances may seem contrary, yet none of these can alter the absolute law of inner decision. Persistence, unity of thought and feeling, and unwavering assumption are the pillars of this authority. Decide from within, and the world must follow, regardless of apparent opposition. Notice how small, deliberate choices compound into extraordinary results. Each moment you choose to feel abundance instead of lack, love instead of fear, confidence instead of doubt, you are planting seeds that the world cannot resist. These seeds grow invisibly, gathering momentum until the outer world must reflect their reality. No act is insignificant. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is a creative command. Decide from within, and the world must follow, one inner act at a time, until the harvest of outer manifestation is complete. The principle of alignment is also crucial. When thought, feeling, and assumption are united in perfect harmony, reality itself aligns. Fragmented belief, inconsistent feeling, or vacillating thought produces nothing but delay and contradiction. But when the mind is resolved, when the heart is aligned, when the imagination is vivid, creation becomes effortless. The universe does not resist the unified consciousness. It reflects it faithfully. Decide from within, and the world must follow, because law cannot contradict itself, and your inner unity is law in action. It is often said that circumstances dictate outcomes, yet the truth is the opposite. Circumstances are echoes, evidence, mirrors of the inner state. When you inhabit the feeling of the fulfilled desire, the world cannot resist the reflection. Opportunity arises naturally. People respond favorably, and conditions bend to the inner decree. You do not need to persuade, to convince, or to manipulate. The outer world is a reflection of inner law, and law cannot be denied. Decide from within, and the world must follow, inevitably and without exception. Let us reflect on the role of doubt. Doubt is the enemy of creation, yet it is natural for the mind to encounter uncertainty. Do not be discouraged when doubt surfaces. It is simply the test of persistence. The power lies in reaffirming the inner state, returning to the feeling of fulfillment, and persisting in unwavering assumption. Each reaffirmation strengthens the unseen blueprint, reinforces the inner law, and compels the outer world to align. Decide from within, and the world must follow, for persistence overcomes all transient contradictions. The act of deciding from within is both profound and simple. It requires no external tools, no approval, no external evidence. It is a declaration of sovereignty, a recognition of inner authority, a commitment to inhabit the desired state as fact. Once the inner decision is made, the outer world is compelled to follow, because the law of consciousness is absolute. The mind that fully assumes, the heart that fully feels, the soul that fully inhabits, this trinity of inner decision cannot be resisted. Decide from within, and the world must follow. Every great achievement, every act of love, every monumental success, every experience of joy and freedom begins with this inner decision. It begins quietly, invisibly, in a mind that has assumed, in a heart that has inhabited, in a soul that has declared. The outer world is merely the echo, the reflection, the manifestation of what was first embraced within. You are no exception to this law. You have the same creative power, the same authority, the same capacity to command reality through inner decision. Decide from within, and the world must follow, for the law does not discriminate. Even when appearances seem contrary, even when external conditions appear immovable, the law of inner decision remains unbroken. Your inner state governs all outcomes. By persisting in the feeling of fulfillment, by holding the assumption with unwavering certainty, the outer world is compelled to adjust. Mountains yield, rivers bend, doors open, and all obstacles dissolve before the force of consciousness fully resolved. Decide from within, and the world must follow, for the universe cannot contradict the absolute law of assumption and inner certainty. The subtlety of this law lies in its quiety. It does not shout, it does not force, it does not argue. It operates imperceptibly, invisibly, silently, yet with absolute power. The inner mind impresses, the imagination shapes, the feeling energizes, and the outer world responds. Nothing can resist this invisible orchestration. Resistance exists only in those who doubt, only in those who waver, only in those who delay. Decide from within, and the world must follow, because certainty and persistence are irresistible to reality itself. And now, as we draw together all that has been shared, understand this truth with absolute clarity. The world outside is not the master of your life. You are. Every circumstance, every person, every event is a reflection of the state you occupy within. The power to create, to transform, to manifest is not somewhere beyond you. It has always been here, in the quiet depths of your own consciousness. Decide from within, fully, completely, without doubt or hesitation, and the world must follow,